Alright, so here we are answering, again for the magazine, question about tuning. And I tell you one thing, people do many things, tune with, well, now fortunately it exists this electronic tuners, because before, let's say 30 years ago, people was going around with the whistle, or they may have been afraid of tuning actually, or playing guitar because of this tuning issue. In fact, it's said that guitar players, we spend half of our lives tuning and the other half thinking we're already tuned, because we are not tuned. So, it's true, there is some truth to that. Now, I tell you one thing. There are many ways how people tune. Some use harmonics, like this harmonics, for example, harmonic of the 6th string on the 5th fret should be same like the 5th string harmonic on the 7th fret, like this. And then they do this kind of things until they make it match the equal sound. For example, here will be very noticeable. Right, then I do look. And I set them at the same note. Then same thing with the 5th string. That's for those who tune first. Like I use only the fork, the diapason, because I prefer by ear. I tune here the 5th string to that, and then from the 5th we can tune all the other strings like this. I don't do that with harmonics. I prefer to just hear the fourths, like this, perfect fourth. And in fact, well, the guitar has to tune also, that's another thing. And the strings you use have to tune. But taking for granted that we already have a guitar that tunes well, I prefer to advise this thing over the harmonics, just the sound of the two notes together. For example, when we tune 6th and 5th string, we do like this. Right, look, this will be very wrong now. It sounds good. This, right? Now, there is another thing. Well, here you do with the 3rd string, you do this, same thing, and then now with the 2nd, we can do this and this. But I don't do that. I just try to set the 2nd and 1st string with the basses like this. If you want to check the A, it's there, you see? Here, this is the way. For those who prefer the electronic tuner, no problem, just do that for now. But later on you will find out that your ear is much more accurate and superior quality than a machine there. Because by ear, you get nuances that you don't get with the electronic tuner. Well, that's for that, but another thing is that we need to better tune positionally. What does it mean positionally? I prefer to tune over the chord I will play. Like suppose, for example, I will play Bulería al 2 por medio with the capo on the 2nd fret on the middle position. That is A and B flat, right? Suppose I will play here. Right now, well, now it's tuned because the guitar responded well, but if I need to adjust something, I will adjust it right away over the chord I am playing or over the main key I am playing with. So suppose if I am playing Bulería here, right, if I will play in this position, which is called por medio, then I will not tune the guitar with E, say, which is a F sharp. As if there were no capo, right? If I am playing por medio, say in this key, I will not tune with E major chord and then go here. Just because guitar is a bit whimsical in that regard. It's not very, you need to temper it. And temper it means temper in the key you will play. Mainly, of course, you may also change por arriba suddenly. To do that, you need to get a compromise there with the tuning levels of the strings. But let's say that if you play por medio, then you tune por medio. You don't tune because it will not be the same. Let's see how it's not the same. Look, for example, here I will fill the string with the chord. Say we play the chord. That's good. And now let's say the second string. This one is a bit high. So now what I will do is just pull a little bit this one. And that sounds better now. Then first string. It's a bit high, so I will do again a small pull. And here we have the most perfect tuned chord. Now if I now want to, let's say if we play a moraima, this thing here, I am supposed to tune in that position, so I will get this octave here, this octave here, the same note, unison note. Here, the sixth string tuned with the reference of the fifth. My total chord, how it sounds. Now this sounds a little bit flat, so you see that of the half-life? I told you, it's true. Look. So now I am pretty much tuned well on this position. If the chord sounds okay, look, this is good here. Sounds well, that sounds very well. Now if I suddenly will play por arriba, look what happens. All of a sudden it's not tempered for that position there. So of course it sounds also okay, but you need to do small adjustment there to make it sound. If I will play por arriba, then I will tune por arriba. I have to raise a bit the second. And you know, with the capo, there are some lessons about it. With the capo, you just pull from here. Suppose this is flat, the second. As it was before the second. Now look what happens without touching the peg. Look. I didn't touch here, I just pull it up or down from by the side of the capo and I got the note. Or you move this very little and then pull behind the capo. So now we have the third a bit high, therefore I will have to pull this a little bit. Now it's good. This is maybe a bit high, so I will pull very little. Still high. And now I can play. And if I'm supposed to change to por medio, small adjustments needs to be made. Because that's the nature of guitar, that's how it is. So you just have to learn how to handle that and extract the beauty out of that. Because it has its beauty, the tempered instruments. That's why sometimes people in the parties, they say, why do you keep tuning all the time? I see piano players or keyboardists, they don't tune much. Like, you are all the time tuning and checking the tuning. Yeah, this is a fact. So guitar is tricky in this regard, and if you play in one posture, in one position, you tune to that position there. And if you will use many, or 2 or 3 or more, which I do sometimes compositions, I record music that needs to be, you need to compensate the strings to sound well on different zones of the fretboard and on different keys, right? And that's all what you need to do. But in that case, it's not tuned to one specific posture or positional playing. But when you play por medio, then you tune por medio. It's just a logic thing. And now here I will not pick reference of harmonics or stuff. No, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do. When you fix one string, let's say if the second string is high, as in this case I pull slightly, and I get this here. I don't need to have the reference, say, of this thing. Maybe here it will not be what I think it should be. Now if I tune this second string with that reference, when I play in por medio posture, it will not sound okay. And that's just normal, that's the way it is. This is particularities of the guitar. The guitar as an instrument is percussive and is melodic too. It's a harmonic instrument, it's a percussive instrument. It's for percussive things. But as far as this tuning capacity, first the guitar has to be perfectly made, that's one thing. But, as I said, if your guitar is okay, then it has to tune well if you know how to do it. And this is a tricky thing. Sometimes, I remember in the tablao, when we were playing 30 years ago, in the tablao, in the flamenco pop, there you don't have time, sometimes you switch, the singer decides where to put the capo, if at 4, or they said put a 3 por medio, or 4 por arriba, or like that, and you have to switch from one piece to another fast, and get it in pretty good shape, this tuning capacity, because otherwise the singer will stare at you like, what is he doing, right? So you need to sound good and do these things fast. Before we used to do with wooden pegs, so thanks to God now, with the machine head, we avoid a lot of problems. And yes, it's much more practical, right? But still, this aspect of the positional thing, you have to just keep in mind in which posture you are playing mainly, and then tune the guitar to that.